It's time for another Patreon-sponsored review. Today I'll be looking at Sheep in the Big City. What? Oh, this show! Oh, wow, I totally forgot about this one. So Sheep in the Big City was an animated series that aired for 2 seasons on Cartoon Network between 2000 and 2002. This was around what I think is the second wave of Cartoon Network's original programs. Many consider the early 2000s some of Cartoon Network's best years, as they produced many shows that are still well remembered to this day, by people who are much younger than I am. But there are also a few other shows that seem to fall through the cracks and aren't as well remembered. At least not until someone brings one of them up and you're like, oh right, that existed. And I think Sheep in the Big City falls into that category. The show was created by Willems, who currently writes children's books, but he got his start as a comedian and did a lot of work for the Muppets and even some animated shorts for Sesame Street. He's also the creator of The Offbeats, which was a regular segment on Nickelodeon's animated variety show Kablam. But eventually, Cartoon Network gave him his own show, and that brings us to Sheep in the Big City. Well, it's a Patreon request, so here we are. Now, I don't know how well remembered this particular show is, so if it's alright with you guys, I'm just gonna give my honest opinion. And if not, then what are you gonna do about it? Come get me? Here's Sheep in the Big City. So, Sheep in the Big City stars a sheep named Sheep. Stop me if I'm going too fast. Things seem pretty normal despite Sheep inexplicably walking on 2 legs, but the secret military organization, and yes, that's what they're called, want to kidnap Sheep for reasons I'll get into in a bit. I do like that every time we see the secret military organization, they have a sign prominently displayed that says what they are, but then has a subtitle that says, "Look away," or something like that. They cause a ruckus on the farm where Sheep lives, so to prevent more trouble, Sheep decides to move away to the big city and deals with all the wacky situations that come with being a fish out of water. Or a sheep out of water. Or a sheep out of the farm? Whatever. But Sheep's former owner, Farmer John, which is apparently his actual name, is not taking to Sheep being away so well and sometimes creepily stalks him. Just keep it PG there, Farmer John. Though I do find it kind of funny that he talks like a therapist.
This is more than just a reunion. We're also having a series of seminars for animals like you who've left the farm. As most of you know by now, the farm has been threatened with total annihilation. Well, annihilation brings up a lot of issues. Perhaps we can begin with sheep.
So today, I want to show you how to realign your mind-body energies through simple meditation, okay?
As long as he doesn't take out a guitar and start singing Lesbian Seagull. Fortunately, while in the city, Sheep found himself a bit of a love interest, who is a poodle. A bit odd, but hey, at least it's not one-sided. But her owner, Lady Richington, does not approve of this and constantly goes after Sheep and beats him with her stainless steel wig.
Whenever I see one, I take off my stainless steel wig, comme ça, and I smack it, I smack it, I smack it!
She must have gotten that from Larry Miller.
It's really slick. It's lanolin from someone else's skin. Someone who returned it. Their loss.
Very specific references today. Also, the secret military organization follows Sheep to the big city, and they'll stop at nothing to try and capture him. They're led by General Specific, with his underling, Private Public. And at this point, I think you can tell what kind of show this is. Though I do like that General Specific talks through his teeth for some reason. I don't know why, but something about that is really funny to me.
Private public, I have this nefarious desire to capture that sheep.
This costs thousands in dentistry, but it really emphasizes how serious I am. They're aided by the angry scientist.
Now is not the time to discuss this, mad scientist.
I am not mad. I am angry. I am an angry scientist. That is what it is saying on my card of businesses.
See, he's not a mad scientist. He's an angry scientist. It's kind of a running gag in the series, and it's kind of funny at first, but after about 20 or so episodes, the charm starts to wear off. So yeah, this show is mostly sustained on puns. Lots of puns.
Sir?
You have a question, Major Appliance?
Sir.
Yes, Major Television Event?
Sir.
Yes, Major Payne?
Major Payne? You're not Damon Wayans.
Here's the plan we came up with, sir. We could all go like this. Ah! Help! It's a disaster! We're all gonna die!
Thank you, Major Panic. But no one's gonna die. Not on this network.
Oh boy, that line didn't age very well. Just wait till Adventure Time and regular show get going. Oof, the body counts. Yeah, you can expect a lot of this from this show. In one episode, we meet Private Public's father, General Public.
General Specific, this is my dad, General Public.
Oh, I'm pleased to meet you. I know most politicians take the opinions of the general public quite seriously.
Not anymore.
Boy, you got that right. I should note that the guy that plays General Public is one of the few guest voices the show had, and he's played by Jerry Nelson.
If I remember my training correctly, in order to capture a sheep, one must think like a sheep. Works every time.
Fans of the Muppets will recognize that voice. He played the Count on Sesame Street, Gobo on Fraggle Rock, and Kermit the Frog's nephew Robin, among many others. No doubt he was brought over from when Moe worked for the Muppets, and hearing him was definitely one of the highlights of the show.
If you can't capture one measly little sheep, I'll just have to go out there and catch him myself.
Oh, that's right, I forgot to mention why they're after sheep. Are you ready for this? It's because they built a sheep-powered ray gun. But it won't run on just any sheep, it has to be this specific sheep. So they go to great lengths to try and capture him. Instead of fixing the gun so any sheep could be used, or maybe make a gun that's not sheep-powered. Your government tax dollars at work, folks. God, what a dumb idea this is. Although that does remind me, I've been working on a bit of a side project. Just a little invention I've been working on. This is the pangolin hair dryer. See, the pangolin-powered hair dryer. You see, pangolins, they're mammals, but they don't have fur like most other mammals. Instead, they have very dry scales. So, by my calculations, that makes them the best candidate, the best animal whose essence can be harnessed to properly and efficiently dry your hair, you see. Now, of course, this is just a prototype. I'm going to need some funding, so I need everyone to go to my Patreon and donate so we can get some R&D done on this. We also have to feed the pangolins. They eat ants, which are surprisingly hard to come by. So be sure to donate to my Patreon, and we can make this dream happen, because they laughed at me at the patent office. Well, who'll be laughing when every single home has a pangolin hairdryer? Me! That's who! I'll be laughing! The world will recognize my genius, goddammit!
Welcome back to the spine-riveting excitement that is Sheep in the Big City!
So yeah, I think it's best not to think too deep into this show, since it's clearly intended to be purely about the comedy.
Great Scott!
Yes?
You're looking good, Great Scott. How about golf next Thursday?
Comedy, of course, being very subjective. As shown earlier, this show certainly loves its puns as well as visual gags.
The management of Sheep in the Big City apologizes to Lady Richington and offers her a complimentary ham sandwich.
Oh!
If I may say so, you're looking quite spectacular, Lady Richington.
Once again, I'm very happy that I've retired the punch gag. Just don't want to damage the moneymaker. Good thing too, because this show is littered with puns. Even the episode titles are all sheep puns. Now, episode titles being puns is a common thing for a lot of shows, but each episode here is divided into 3 chapters, most of which are all different sheep puns. That's a lot. I'll give them credit. I don't think I can come up with that many sheep puns if you were paying me. In addition to the puns, there's a lot of meta humor in this show. One of the main characters is actually the narrator, who often comments about the plot and even directly interacts with the story. One episode ended with sheep being captured, and the narrator just straight up changed the ending because he didn't like it.
That's the end? That's the worst, most depressing ending I've ever heard! Do it again!
We need this guy writing Star Wars movies. He even acknowledges how dumb the show is.
Lady Richington has just called General Specific, the one man bent on capturing sheep and using him as a component of a sheep-powered ray gun. So we ask, can sheep survive these 2 powerful anti-sheep forces? Who writes this stuff?
Well, at least the show is self-aware, but it also has a lot of lol random humor.
Sheep in the Big City haphazardly presents a chicken and pig arguing. Already in progress.
You see, it's completely random and unexpected. That's what makes it funny.
We begin the chapter with this.
They also do a lot of referential stuff. Man, good thing some of these are owned by Warner Brothers or someone might get sued. Though a few were a bit strange.
Yeah, sheep's gotta make it after all!
Is that a Mary Tyler Moore Show reference? Who exactly is that for?
In the criminal justice, there are 2 equally important parts. The police that investigate the crimes, and the bakers who make their donuts.
A Law and Order reference. Really nailing what the kids love. On top of the already riveting plot, there were also a bunch of other segments and running gags between chapters. I guess chasing a sheep wasn't a strong enough premise, so they had to come up with some more stuff. And they're pretty much what you'd expect.
Sheep in the Big City presents the self-proclaimed spectacular Flying Sombrero Brothers.
We are the Flying Sombrero Brothers. And we're currently flying at, I'd say 35,000 feet or so.
The Flying Sombrero Brothers. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you freaking get it? Admittedly, some of these are kind of funny, like some of the fake ads they play, usually with a salesman guy that barges in and freaks people out or just straight up ruins their lives.
Here I am at the bowling alley, and I forgot my bowling ball.
Yeah! One of the things you need is Oxymoron's new bowling ball in a can.
You almost gave me a heart attack.
People are literally dying for these products.
At Air Oxymoron, we don't care about you at all. You're just one of thousands of faceless chattel that we must somehow tolerate in the course of our busy days. Air Oxymoron, sit down and shut up.
Ugh, finally, some truth in advertising.
It's Oxymoron batteries, the batteries that harness energy by sucking it directly from all living things.
I can feel it sucking the life force right out of me. I'm so tired, but my flashlight is bright.
Why do I have a feeling that's going to be a real product someday?
Welcome once again to Laughing at Other People's Pain!
Ow! Ow, this hurts me with the ow in my head.
Ah, Fox's new reality show. There's also a few bits about a superhero who for some reason doesn't want to do anything heroic, and I find that amusing.
Look! It's the beacon of trouble, completely powerful guy!
I don't see anything.
It's right there, directly in front of your face.
Fake news, kid.
It's the red phone of action. You must be needed for something really dangerous.
Listen, let's not answer that phone, okay? It's probably some wrong number or something.
Yeah, but I've got a lot of important TV to watch. At the end of each episode, they have a segment called The Ranting Swede, which is just some Swedish guy rambling about some nonsensical stuff.
I'll tell you what gets my goat. Have you ever seen a piano? It's got 88 keys, and I only have 10 fingers. And every key makes a different note. I want to play the piano. I have to invite over 8 friends, and that's 2 extra fingers left doing nothing.
Excuse me, but the only ranting Swede worth watching plays video games on Twitch. That's right, Rob watches Vinesauce. Admittedly, though, the ranting Swede probably has the best animation in the whole show. He's so bouncy and expressive. The character designs are a bit weird, though. Mo did say that his art was heavily inspired by the works of Pablo Picasso, and yeah, you can definitely tell. It's not really my thing, but for this show, I guess it works. But you know what I definitely don't like? Animal abuse. And Sheep gets tossed around and beaten so much. I know this is a comedy, but have mercy, he's just a sheep. Though after a while, things go relatively well for him. He holds down a few jobs and even makes some friends that kinda look like him in human form. That's not at all weird. But there is an episode where the military sends a double agent after Sheep who ends up liking him and they become friends. Which is slightly less weird, I guess. Speaking of which, there's an obligatory Christmas episode, or what their version of Christmas is.
Clearance Day, the biggest, most funnest, happiest day of the whole miserable, depressing year.
Clearance Day, goody goody hip hooray. Clearance Day, twice the hits for half the pay.
Just when you thought Christmas couldn't get more commercial.
Buy your stuff, be on your way.
That's the charm of Clearance Day.
Well, it's still more civilized than Black Friday. There's an episode where they establish sheep catching was made illegal, so General Specific decides to run for mayor, with Lady Richington backing him up.
I could be your campaign manager, and we could change the pro-sheep laws of this city forever.
While the idea of despotic rule appeals to me, I'm more comfortable just trying to capture sheep for my sheep-powered ray gun.
More comfortable than this?
Ow! Ow! Oh, yes! Much more! Ow!
You know, the jokes here are way too easy, so I think it's best that we just move on. But there's one episode where things start getting really weird. Like, completely off the rails. Then the characters start attacking the narrator. Then the angry scientist reveals the ray gun has a narrator setting, so now everybody's after him. Then Sheep shows up to try and help him out, but then it turns out he was actually evil all along, and this was all a plot to capture the narrator. And yeah, that's where the episode ends. I gotta admit, that's an insane way to end the series. Except it's not the end of the series. This was actually the end of Season 1. What's even weirder is that Season 2 starts up as if nothing had happened. I couldn't confirm this, but I'm guessing they didn't expect to get a second season, so they decided to go out with a bang. But somehow a second season got greenlit, so I guess the joke's on them. The actual final episode starts with the ranting Swede, and then the credits roll. At first I thought there was something wrong with the video file, but then it shows the characters wrapping things up and it becomes kind of a behind the scenes episode. But General Specific says he's jealous of Sheep being the star and plots to capture him for real. Man, gotta love those status quos.
You know what the problem is, don't you? It's those writers. They never let me capture sheep. The buffoons.
Righty. I righty the scripty.
Hey, look, it's the writer's room for Thundercats Roar. Or Teen Titans Go, or... well, you can insert any bad show to that joke, really. Though, once again, it is nice to see a show get a proper send-off, since that doesn't happen enough. And it does show that the people working on this cartoon did care about it, despite a few shortcomings. There's not much else to say about this show. I think you get the point by now. Sheep in the Big City is one of those shows where you watch one episode and you'll immediately know whether or not you're gonna like it. But at the very least, it's self-aware. It knows exactly what it is and doesn't try to be more than that. It's a comedy show, and they just wanted to tell some jokes and pull some classic cartoon gags. I mean, they drop anvils on characters. That's about as classic as it gets for cartoon comedy. It's pretty absurd, but it's not horrible. Though there is a strong possibility that I've watched so much crap at this point that this show doesn't seem that bad by comparison. I'm willing to accept that as a possibility. But overall, I'd still say it's pretty harmless. It's not for everybody, but maybe it'll be worth a chuckle or two. Sheep in the Big City. You could do worse. Oh god, now they got me doing sheep puns. I better end this quick. Well, thank you very much for the donation, and coming up we have another Patreon request. I won't reveal what it is, but let's just say it's something a bit more in my wheelhouse. And I think it's something that's about due for a review as well. Find out what it is next time.
As always, we end Sheep in the Big City with a ranting Swede.
You know what makes me really mad and angry?
Granddad!